Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started here. We've got a bunch of folks, so that's good. So I do see a lot of new faces, so welcome to our San Diego user group. We do meet the third Wednesday of every month from 12 to 1, so please join us again. We always have a good time. I am Christy Brown. I am user group leader, and my partner in crime, Tracy Hart, is not joining us today because she has twins and no childcare today. So we're wishing her the best with that situation. I don't think I have any more announcements actually right now, so I'm just going to pass it over to David, and I'm going to read your bio because there are so many things here that I'm like just super impressed with what you have on paper. So, David Carnes is a founder and chairman of OpFocus, a consulting firm which works with SaaS companies to optimize revenue operations. And here's all the things he does, and I'm sure this is not all of them. He's the host of Dashboard Dōjō, which I've had on my to-do list for such a long time. I need to finally do it now that you're in front of me. He's the Boston Salesforce admin group leader. He speaks at Dreamforce and other community events, and he's a Salesforce MVP. And you just wrote a book, Mastering Salesforce Reports and Dashboards, which that's amazing. How do you have time to do that?
Starting to retire helps.
Okay. Good tip.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. I'm so excited to spend time with you all and excited to hear what you've seen of these new features. So let's dive right in. Cool. So I want to talk about recent Salesforce report dashboard feature enhancements. And as you heard, I'm a published author, really exciting. Took me 18 months to write the book. My company, OpFocus, we work with SaaS companies, and we just had our 17th anniversary this week. Client number one was a SaaS company in New York City, and it was a Salesforce relaunch 17 years ago. So we've seen a lot of the changes with Salesforce over the years. I am a user group leader in Boston. I first attended that group 18 years ago, if you can believe it. And the group Dashboard Dōjō, we've been meeting now for 3 years. We have over 40 hours of recordings of me blathering about report dashboard stuff. And we just pick topics and dig in. It's been really fun. So we're taking a break for the summer. We have 2 sessions scheduled in September. So anyway, that's me. And what I want to talk to you about today is the stuff that's come out for the last 3 releases. So Salesforce is on a 3 release a year cycle. Typically, each set of release notes is about 600 pages, and within that is a set of either beta features or features that have become GA or generally available in each release. So what we've seen as a trend in the last year is that Unlimited Edition, which when it first came out, there was a bunch of stuff that made Unlimited Edition very special. Some of that stuff got watered down over the years, and I think Salesforce has made a renewed effort across the platform to try to make Unlimited Edition more special, and that's been true with reporting as well. So we'll talk about that first. If any of you have Unlimited Edition, you get more stuff. And then what I thought we'd do is talk a little bit about Slack, in case any of you are using Slack, that we can take advantage of reports and dashboards in Slack. We can push them to Slack. We can interact with them in Slack, share them, subscribe to them, stuff like that. Earlier this year in the spring release, Salesforce made some very significant changes to mobile. And I do have a mobile demo open here, and we can take a look. This is my phone logged into my dev org, and I want to show why this is very special. There are some things that exist in Salesforce Mobile now that don't exist anywhere else, especially with reporting specifically. Some really cool things that we can do. After that, I thought we'd talk about personalized filters. This came out in the spring release and allows us essentially to create a My filter on any lookup to the user object. So for years, we've been able to create a report on accounts and filter on My account, so the person running the report sees accounts that they own. Well, what if we could do that on other fields, like the created by field, or other custom fields like who's the sales engineer, and that's just a lookup field. Well, now we can create filters directly in the filter tab in the report builder. We'll also talk about report dashboard subscriptions, some changes there, and we'll talk about the analytics tab. And this is the big item in the summer release, which just went live a few weeks ago. And it's giving us a chance to just get rid of the report and dashboard tabs. And I know that sounds so controversial. I wrote a book. I just finished writing a book on reports and dashboards. And here I am saying, yeah, we don't really need the report and dashboard tabs anymore, because Salesforce has given us this thing called the analytics tab. And it's essentially meant to be the unified home for analytics. So where we can see all of our reports, all of our dashboards, all of our report and dashboard favorites, all of our folders. And if you also have CRM analytics, you can see those assets on that tab as well. So we'll talk about that and a very special feature called collections. I'm going to jump back over to see I'll try to jump back over and see the chat. If any of you have questions, I'll just keep trying to jump over so that I can see them. Bevy's a little funny, a little funky, but
I'll come back on as presenter and then I can just read them to you.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. So please, the questions make the session interesting. So please don't hesitate. All right. So I said that Unlimited Edition has gotten more, and essentially, Salesforce has its core editions. We think of the Enterprise Edition as being what most people use. There are some other editions that you've probably never heard of, like the Personal Edition or Contact Manager Edition. In fact, Group Edition, I don't even think that exists anymore. There's something, I think, down at this level called Essentials, but then we have Professional, etc. So there's this page in Help that lists out all of the limits for reports and dashboards. And there's some that, are kind of significant. For example, the ability to create custom report types. A custom report type is like a foundation that you can create, like as an admin, and then other users can create reports off of that data foundation. And we can create some special data relationships, joins with that. Well, in Enterprise Edition, we can create 200. Unlimited Edition, we can create 2,000. That hasn't changed, but a bunch of other stuff has changed. So that's what I want to talk about. So one of the big ones is that Unlimited Edition now has the ability to, each user can subscribe to up to 15 reports and up to 15 dashboards. There is something when going to create a new report that we can filter on objects and fields to find a particular report type. So that's kind of cool. Also, the upper limit on how many components you can have on a dashboard has gone from 20 to 25. And they introduced 2 new types of components. Again, this is only for Unlimited Edition. The other interesting thing here is that they're no longer calling them components. In Unlimited Edition, they're now called widgets, but the rest of us still call them components. Go figure. The other thing that changed is that for Unlimited Edition, the number of filters has gone from 3 to 5 per dashboard. So let's just take a quick look at these. I don't have access to an Unlimited Edition system, so I won't demo anything. I've just got some screenshots to show for these first few slides. But so I mentioned that Unlimited Edition, which I'm calling UE here, now supports up to 15 reports and up to 15 dashboard subscriptions per user. And just like we've always done in Lightning, if you go to look at a list of reports, if you go to the action pull down on the right, click on that and select subscribe, you are now using one of your subscriptions. And when you create a subscription, you can choose whether it's sent daily, weekly, or monthly. You can choose the time of day, stuff like that. If you have more permissions, more profile permissions, you have the ability to add other recipients as well. So the limit for Enterprise Edition about a year ago was quietly upped from 5 per user to 7 per user. And that stays as it was. Now everyone else gets 15. Now everyone in Unlimited Edition gets 15. I mentioned report type field and object filters. This is something that was available for Unlimited Edition. It came out as beta last year, and everyone could try it. And then I guess they decided to make it unlimited edition only. But on that first screen, when you go to create a new report, you saw that unlimited edition can have 2,000 custom report types. So it's kind of cool that we can actually filter them. And here's a screenshot showing the ability to filter by objects. So I could say, I want to find a report type that has both accounts and opportunities on it, and it'll just filter, give us that sub list. Well, even more powerfully, we can actually pick individual fields. So if not even just those two objects, but if I really specifically wanted a report type that had the industry field and the opportunity stage field, I can ensure. So I can see this being very powerful with custom objects and these custom report types. And you can filter by up to 20 fields at a time. So that particular functionality, we won't see it here. I'll go to create a new report. When you go to create a new report, that first screen is where this will appear in Unlimited Edition. So I did have the beta enabled in this org, and then they took the beta away because it's not an Unlimited Edition system. But the rest of us can search for report types, and typically what you do is click on all, and say that I want to see something with assets in it. And now we can see, as of a year ago, we were given the ability to see the category, whether it's standard or custom. And then if we click on one, we have more information over here in the details pane about each report type. So we still got some good stuff a year ago in report creation.
Go ahead. Sorry. When you had the beta up, did you find yourself actually using that feature? Because I played with it a couple times just to play with it, but I found that it wasn't actually super useful for me just because I know what all of the report types and stuff are already, and I'm just like constantly in the data. We were thinking maybe it would be better for
an end user.
People being onboarded, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's that's a perfect use case. So it would probably be an end user who's unfamiliar with the 100 or 150 report types that an organization might have created. Salesforce has had about 75 report types standard for years, and they really haven't created a lot of new ones. We can use custom report types to create reports on all kinds of other objects. There are about 100 other objects that you can't report on any other way unless you create a custom report type. So one example would be dashboards. You can actually create a report on dashboards, but you have to create a custom report type first, save it. And so I'm thinking that probably Unlimited Edition is the right fit for that, because you could have up to 2,000 custom report types. And for somebody who's new to the organization, like you said. So great question. I mentioned that Salesforce upped the number of components on an Unlimited Edition dashboard to 25. So the rest of us get 20, which is pretty good. That 25 isn't like whichever 25 you want. There's a little bit of, you can have still up to 20 charts and tables. You can have up to 2 images, and you can have up to 25 rich text, which is sort of a comical thing thinking about a dashboard that's just a bunch of text. But so they also introduced the 2 new widgets in Unlimited Edition, so the text and the image. Now, interestingly, if you switch back to Classic, you can still use a Visualforce component, which could have a YouTube video, you could have photos. So it's not like this is like new ground in Salesforce reporting. We could do some really fun things with Visualforce components on dashboards all those years ago. But in Lightning, this is what we get. In Unlimited Edition, that component button has been renamed to Plus Widget. When you click on Plus Widget, it lets you choose chart or table. And if you choose that, you get the standard 11 dashboard components. And now we have the 2 new ones, text and image. And I'll just show you a couple quick screenshots on those. So when this came out, a friend over in the UK has a Unlimited Edition org, and she agreed. I said, could you just take a few screenshots for me so I could see what it looks like? And this is what she came up with. She found a Trailblazer image and then wrote Happy Wednesday team. So let's dig into both of these just one level further. So the text widget allows you to put up to 500 characters. It's rich text, so you can change the font size, you can change the font color, you can adjust the format, make it italic, strike through, stuff like that. in between the beta and going live, they added one really cool thing that I think is super. It's this little button right here, which is the ability to add a link into your text. Well, I think that's really useful. So instead of the Happy Wednesday team, I could imagine a dashboard that has a component off to the side that has links to a handful of other reporting tools. Maybe it's in some BI tool and you have a link that points over there. Or you might have links to sales methodology or something else. So I really like the idea of, not only having text, but the ability to link to other stuff. Now, the way that the images work, you upload a file from your machine, or you choose from a pre-existing gallery of stuff that's already been uploaded. So as you're uploading things, they are stored and they're available to you. And then once you select an image, you can choose the scale. And there's a bunch of specific scale, like fit the screen sort of choices, or the original size. Once you choose that, you've got the horizontal and vertical alignments, and you can put in a tooltip, which is essentially hover text, and you can also include alternate text. So really not that groundbreaking, but it is kind of cool if you have Unlimited Edition.
I was so sad that I didn't get this feature. I only have one customer with an unlimited org and everyone else is enterprise. And this was the thing that I wanted to play with the most out of
Yes.
the entire last release,
Yes.
is just making dashboards have more context.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
you think that they'll expand it to other editions in the future, or where are you leaning on this?
Oh, when they talked the roadmap, it might have been 2 years ago at Dreamforce that I first heard. In fact, it probably wasn't even a Dreamforce session, since that was like a mini Dreamforce. The engineering team had shared what their roadmap, and they talked about going to 30 dashboard components at the time. So they only made the switch to 25. 25 is a pretty complicated dashboard. It's a pretty dense dashboard. I don't
That's a lot.
yeah. I guess I don't see them making a change anytime soon. It feels like, they were given marching orders to have a few things be Unlimited Edition only, and that's what they picked. So
Yeah.
here's the last one, which is having up to 5 filters on a dashboard. So for years, we've been able to have 3 per dashboard. 3 is pretty good. That covers, 98% of use cases. But I can see somebody wanting more than 3. This one has 5, and all of them are set. So the way that the filters work, if you have multiple filters and only one is set, then just that one is applied. But if you add a second one, it's essentially the intersection of those 2 filters. With the intersection of 5 filters, so the opportunities in the US, the deal is qualified, the owner is Jose, it's existing business, and the created date's last 30 days, this might return nothing. It might be a bunch of blank stuff. So that's the one problem with having 5 filters all in use. But I'm sure it's good for somebody. All right, so those are the changes that folks in Unlimited Edition get. Just to shift gears, I mentioned that Salesforce has made some changes with regard to Slack. So if you are using Slack, you can push reports and dashboards from Salesforce into Slack. And when you do that, you can see the button here on this dashboard to signify that the integration's installed. If I click it, I can choose which workspace and which channel that I want to share that with. When you're looking at things in Slack, so if somebody shared a dashboard with me, essentially I'm seeing a snapshot, like a downloaded image of that report or dashboard. I can view it, I can share it, I can also subscribe to both reports and dashboards in Slack. And then from Slack, I can open the reports and dashboards. I know I only say dashboards here, but I should have said reports and dashboards. You can open them from Slack. It does require that you have the connect Salesforce with Slack permission set in Salesforce. It also requires that an admin on the Slack side install an app called the CRM Analytics for Slack app in Slack, and then connect to your Salesforce system, and then this works. So I'm curious if anybody's used this. Has anybody used this? And if we jump back over, has anybody used the Slack? Oh, go ahead.
I did the very first pilot for that. It was the CRM analytics version, not the normal Salesforce dashboards version. Um, it was cool. It was useful. I think being able to add the snapshots into Slack where maybe you have additional users without Salesforce licenses or who you don't want to have access to the actual dashboard in Salesforce is useful. But then I also think you lose a little bit because they can't really interact with those. Like they wouldn't be able to go subscribe to them,
Okay.
and the like. But I think it's a start for sure.
Uh-huh. Yes. And I think, Salesforce is causing some confusion with this and with the new analytics tab because it says the word CRM analytics in a few places, like the name of this integration. You do not need to have CRM analytics licenses to use this integration. And it's sort of unfortunate that they don't realize that it causes confusion. But I'll talk about that when we talk about the analytics tab. All right. So this requires the free app I mentioned to be installed in Slack. All Salesforce users can then browse, search, view, share, and subscribe to Lightning reports and dashboards, view favorites, view recents, see snapshots, etc. So just has a little bit more information on the integration. Oh, the other thing that's kind of cool with this is, let's say that you have Enterprise Edition and 7 subscriptions isn't enough. What I've heard with this is that it essentially gives you 7 more subscriptions. So if 7 isn't enough on reports, let's say, you could, and you use Slack, you could set up the integration and you could essentially get 7 more subscriptions over on the Slack side of reports in your system.
Sneaky.
So, sneaky, yes. There are other little backdoor loopholes as well. All right, let's talk about mobile. So this is one of the biggest things in the past year. And I know not everybody uses Salesforce Mobile and not everybody uses reports on mobile. The earlier iteration of reports on mobile was kind of clunky. It was slow. It really didn't scroll well. It wasn't responsive. There were just some things that were just hard to deal with. And if you had asked me a year ago to create reports for you or to essentially help you with a mobile reporting strategy, I'd probably say let's clone your 5 big reports and let's remove a whole bunch of columns and really try to fit them on the screen better. We don't really need to do that anymore. The reports you've already created look beautiful in this new mobile edition. So it's got a responsive user interface. It has mobile friendly features. Supposedly it loads 5 times faster. It seems perfect to me. Better performance, stuff like that. Text wrapping, which is nice. The real big change is what we have on the homepage and then the experience running the reports. So before we look at that, I've got a demo ready. There's no action required to set this up, which is kind of nice. Basically, if somebody already had this installed, they'd need to essentially update it using the App Store or whatever it's called for Google. Sorry that I don't remember. If somebody's never used this before on their device, they could go to their respective App Store and install it. It's available for iOS and for Google devices. You might want to train the users on this. This is different enough, as you'll see. So let's just go take a quick look. I have my phone here, and I'm going to hold my phone, let go of my keyboard, and you can see my phone moving. And the one thing I want to show you is that we're looking at the mobile home tab. This is a special tab that's available for mobile. And what it allows us to do is pin reports to our homepage. So if I'm a report user, let's say I'm on your leadership team at whatever your organization is, and I want to just check in on a few different numbers, I can log into mobile and I can basically embed a handful of reports as pinned reports right in my home on mobile. So you can see here that I've got current caseload by owner and status. And if I scroll down, I have all open pipeline, and you see the words no change next to the summary values. Well, it's one of the cool features with mobile is each user who uses this and runs a report, the next time they run the report, it'll show the change since the last time they ran the report for any of these summary columns here. So if I go ahead and I'm gonna reload the page. I made a change to the data right before the session, and what we should see is, hopefully I changed the save the change. Oh man! All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna log out and log back in so you can see all the stuff on my phone. All right, you know what? Let's go make another change. Let's do this real time. Let's just pick. I'll pick an opportunity. I could have sworn that I changed this. Should go from 1 million to 2 million. It did change. All right. So best laid plans with the demo. Let's just change one other thing. I'll add a product to this opportunity. There are no products. Wonderful. That's wonderful. Really helpful. Let's come in here and put some money on this one. Let's make this one $4 million. And let's see if I can get this to work. All right. Oh, I wonder if it was a closed deal that I had changed. So let's look at the stage. Let's make sure. That's probably what it was. Okay, this is prospecting stage. So let's see. There it is. Okay, so I just refreshed it on my phone, and here's the number. You can see it. I had one other deal that had gone up by 1 million. This, I made the $4 million change. So you can see the deltas here for all of these summary numbers on all of these reports that are my pinned reports. So each user can choose what reports they want to pin. If I come back up here and I click the edit link up in the top right, I can just get rid of, if I don't really care about the current caseload, and maybe I want to look at the win ratio. I want to put that up on top, put the pipeline second. And if I want to add another card, what I can do is click that add card button. And essentially a card is an entity on this homepage, and I can choose pinned report and just pick another report. So let's say I want to see year over year changes in one-ops. That's now my top one, and I'll go ahead and save it. And I've just changed my homepage. I'm just a regular user, and I've just updated my homepage to see what I care about. So the big changes are the ability to see the dollar amount change. And then when you go ahead and run a report, so let's just go run this report here showing the all open pipeline, the column headers stay fixed. I can scroll to the right so I can see all of the columns in the data set. And I also have the ability to collapse the chart. This existed before, but it was just organized differently. This is just a much better layout, like a huge upgrade. So hopefully you guys will get some value out of mobile.
David, yeah. Mark wants to know what application you were using to show your phone like that over the top of everything else.
Oh, it's a top secret. It's called Reflector 4. And somebody at Salesforce might have clued me in on this one. You know, it was not expensive, but it just allows me to log in, and it's pretty good. It's essentially setting up an Apple TV on my laptop that I can project to. That's what it's doing. And then it gives you the image of the phone. Yeah. All right. So that's the enhanced reports on mobile. No action required as an admin, though you can go in and you can do a few things. So let's go look at that. If I go under setup and if I search on mobile, so as an admin, we can come in here. There's some things we can do. When I first log in, my company logo appears, and I can, control some other settings here. I'm just going to go to navigation, and what we should see is that I have the mobile home, reports, dashboards, approvals. I've basically gotten rid of, for my users, I've gotten rid of a lot of the unneeded tabs, and I've just put these few on there. Cool. All right, so personalized report filters came out in the spring release, and this is something we've always been able to get around this because we could create a custom formula field on any object to say, is this person the person who's set in this particular user lookup field? We could return true, and then we could have filtered on that. But we don't really want to have to create a whole bunch of formula fields to support one report. So instead, now we have this extra filter capability on our reports. So this applies to all editions of Salesforce and basically on any user lookup field. So you can see here under setup in Object Manager, I must be looking at the opportunity object. I've got a field called Sales Engineer. I can tell this is a custom field because of the underscore lowercase c. And then I have, it's a lookup to the user object. So those are the ingredients we need for this functionality to work. And what we do is we go into the report builder and we go to the filters tab and we choose to add a field filter on that same lookup field. And once you use it, basically they're reusing this use relative value link that we use for other things. And when you click on it, it just gives you the one choice of $user, but that's what makes this all work. So I've got an example to show you. In this org, I have a column on the field on the opportunity object called executive sponsor. You can see that this lazy executive, David here, is the exec sponsor in these deals. I've got Eric on one and Julie is on another. So these are the executive sponsors. And David doesn't normally own deals. David, has some other role in the company, but still wants to be able to look at open pipeline where he is the executive sponsor. So what we can do is we can go into edit. So if we're doing this on the owner field, what we could do is go to the show me filter, click on that. There it is. And we can choose the my opportunities, and that's tied to the opportunity owner field. Well, we don't have anything tied to the executive sponsor field unless we go ahead and filter on it. And I could leave the operator equals, I could say not equals, but in this case, I just want to use this use relative value link and click apply. And this will now run it because I am David. It will show me all the deals that are open where I am the executive sponsor. So you can use this with standard fields like the created by field. You can use it with custom fields. Probably the best use case is stuff like this, like a field like executive sponsor on an opportunity, as long as it's a lookup to the user object. I haven't clicked over to check on questions. Anything popped up?
Nope.
Okay, great. Awesome. Oh, is that Mark Baseman making fun of me?
Yeah,
hey, Mark.
He said you need to get to work.
Yes, yeah, it's always true. Thank you. And probably Mark might have been the one to suggest the reflector. All right. So another thing that we were given earlier this year is the ability to report and dashboard subscriptions. So if any of you take advantage of subscriptions, you can now report on them. And the way that we can do that is to create a custom report type on this object called analytic notifications. Now, I've got a little screenshot over here on the right that actually shows going a little bit deeper. Probably most of us will just create the report type on analytic notifications, but you can even go one step further and say, I just want to see I want to see analytic notifications that have notification threshold. So basically these are reporting conditions. And we can even go down another level further than that. But this is what the report output looks like. I have 2 reports that are subscribed to, 2 dashboards that are subscribed to, and then I can see the source and the owner. I don't think there are too many more columns available. But so just to show you this, if we go into Salesforce and we clear this out, and we go to feature settings, analytics, reports and dashboards, report types, we can come in here. You can see I've got a pile of report types created. If I go to create a new report type, one thing that's not well known is that there are at least 100 things that you can't report on any other way unless you come in here and create a custom report type first. There are all kinds of things. Every time I look here, there's stuff I've never seen before. Business brands, consumption schedules, contact point addresses, contact point consents. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Here's another one, dashboards, if you want to report on dashboards. Josiah's, I have no idea what that is. I wonder if that's incorrectly in here. It's like something that somebody left in, but it's not right. So this list just goes on and on. There's a whole pile of security ones that were added recently. But the one we want in this case is analytic notifications. I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna call this report and dashboard subscriptions just to make it a little more user friendly to people, so that they know what they can report on. I'll go ahead and put it in the admin reports category. I'll make it deployed so this can be visible to everybody. I'll click next. You know what? I already created it the other day, so why don't I just jump over to that one? But you saw what that looks like. I'm too stupid to remember that I already have one called that. But so we can see this report dashboard subscriptions custom report type ready to go, and we can go build with it. So if I come back in here, create a new report, I go under administrative reports. Here it is here, report dashboard subscriptions. I really like this detail pane that was given to us in the summer release last year. And you can see reports created by you, reports created by others, the objects that are used in the report type, and then you can see the list of fields and you can search them. So that's, I think, really, really nice. But we can go ahead and create a report on all the subscriptions in our system. And if I change the My filter, I wish we could get rid of the preset My filters and the created dates. And then if I run it, so keep in mind, you saw that my preview pane has nothing in it. There are a couple of report types that will just yield nothing in the preview pane. Also, there are no columns displayed as well, which is sort of weird. But when I run it, I see columns. So there's something unusual about this, but hey, it has the data that I want. I can see the reports and dashboards that that are subscribed to.
David, we have a question about this one. Matthew wants to know if there's a way with this report type to see if a dashboard was actually successfully sent. He was trying to troubleshoot a report that was sent but not delivered and couldn't find it.
I don't think so. I think this is just the, it's not storing the individual sends. I think this schedule cron expression, if you were to hack this apart, you could tell when it's going to be sent. I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about it, but you know, whether it's monthly or daily or whatever, but it's not logging the fact that it's been sent. So sorry that I don't have any suggestions on how to troubleshoot that one. Sorry, yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you on that. I did mention that Salesforce gave us this details pane, so it essentially forced an extra click to create a report, but the benefits are pretty good that we get all this information on the details pane. One other item that they slipped in is that for custom report types, we get these diagrams now. It's not for standard report types, which would be really useful, but we get it for custom report types, for the objects used in the report type. It's not fully accurate, because if I came in here, like this one is called accounts with or without opportunities and activities. Yeah, these are the three primary objects. But if I went in and I added fields related via lookup, which is an incredibly powerful thing with custom report types, those objects are not displayed here. So it's sort of like, wah, wah, wah. It's just like, you just have to know that this is only available for custom report types, and it's not really all the objects. And what I was referring to there, if we came back into here and we edited the layout on the custom report type and we use this add fields related via lookup, if you're not sure what this is, it's incredibly powerful and will change your reporting experience. In the Dashboard Dojo, we've done sessions on custom report types and talked about this in depth. It's very, very powerful. But if I go in and I go grab something from the user object, and let's say I put the person's email, their division, their department, whatever, and I save this, that object doesn't show up in that list, basically, is what I'm saying. All right. So let's get to the big one of the day, which is the analytics tab. And before we get started, I wish I could see everybody's face, but we can't. Has anybody used this? Has anybody used the analytics tab yet? Oh, Emily, thank you for sharing about ChatGPT decoding the scheduled cron expressions. That's awesome. So Emily's used it. Great. Christy's used it. Awesome. Cool. So the analytics tab is a one-stop shop for all of your reporting assets, your reports, your dashboards, your folders, your favorites. And if you happen to have CRM analytics licenses, and if you happen to have one assigned to you, you can see those assets on the analytics tab as well. Salesforce's goal with this, and sort of the behind the scenes name, is the unified home for analytics. And that's what we get with this tab. So it's got very powerful browse and search features, and it also introduces something called collections. You can see here in the center of the screen the word collections, and you can see I've got 3 different colors here. I've got one called sales performance, one called key marketing metrics, and one called year-end planning. I have one of them pinned, and you can see the little pin icon. That's putting it right front and center on the page, so I can see the items in that collection. And what a collection can be made up of is reports, dashboards, and if you have CRM analytics licenses, you can see CRM analytics assets as well. So it's kind of a cool thing that lays on top of folders that allows you to share stuff. And let's look at this another way. What does this give us? Well, the analytics tab is essentially the reports tab plus the dashboards tab plus CRM analytics all put into one tab. And we can create stuff on the analytics tab. So we've got a create button, and we can choose, this is all based on our permissions. So if our profile lets us create reports or create folders or create dashboards, we'll be able to do it on that tab. We can also manage items. So just like we can on the reports tab or the dashboards tab, to the right of any report or dashboard, if we click on the down arrow, the action menu, we can choose to share. We can move them around. We also get the ability to add items to collections from here. If you use this add to collection, you can also create collections. The other thing we can do is run the reports and dashboards and stay directly on the analytics tab. And what Salesforce has done is introduced some breadcrumb navigation across the top. So you can see here I've run a report called One Deals by something, and it's telling me it's a Lightning report, and I can get back to where I was before by clicking the link that appears. So there's a couple different words here like search and browse, maybe home, that will bring you back to sort of where you were on the analytics tab. So this is intended to be one-stop shop for your reporting assets. My org today and the org in this screenshot has CRM analytics in it, and I wanted to highlight the items that will appear if you have a CRM analytics license. So there's something called notifications and watch list that gets pulled into the analytics tab. The ability to filter when you browse or search. You could filter your search on apps or lenses if you wished. So we can browse, search, and navigate reports, dashboards, folders, favorites, and CRM analytics content. And the most powerful thing on this tab is what we see right in the middle here, which are these added filters. So you can do a search on the word pipe for pipeline, and you could say, I just want to see it with dashboards. Or I just want to see ones that are dashboards that were created by not me. I love that they put not me in here. But you can add these other ones as well, like putting date ranges for created date. You can also put in last modified on, and stuff like that. So let's go look at this. So back in our org, let's find a tab. So if I go to the analytics tab, you can see I've just got a few things on here. I've got 2 collections. I've got one of them pinned, so that's showing up here. I also see, until you pin something, this won't be here. You'll see the recently updated, and you see stuff that's shared with you. You also see down below, basically recent analytics, and then items that you've favorited. You can see that the icons are front and center. So this is a folder. This is a report. It's essentially a clipboard. A gas gauge type thing that's this nice pinky color is a dashboard, and so on. If I want to run any of these, I can just click on them. If I run them, you can see the breadcrumb navigation here. It's telling me that I'm running a report on opportunities. I'm staying on the analytics tab, and I basically can do whatever I can do pretty much. I've only found one thing that you can't do on the analytics tab, which is to add conditional highlighting onto a report. But we have an extra button here that allows us to add anything to an existing collection or create a new collection. If you haven't played with the inline field editing yet that came out a year ago, it's fantastic. You know what? I don't think David should be the executive sponsor. He's really lazy. So let's change it to Julie, and we could just do it directly on the report. So this exists on just the reports tab as well. But if you haven't seen this, I love this. Just the ability to like spot check and fix data. You know what? This wasn't new business. This is, I guess we don't have any choice. I'll just make it blank. I can change close dates. So this is different than mass editing on a tab with a list view, because we really can't mass edit. We can edit multiple fields on multiple lines, but it's not the same as the mass edit where you can make the same change to 30 records. That's not what this does. It just lets you hunt and peck and find things like, let's kick this deal out to 2024. And then when I'm ready, I can click save, and then those are committed to the database. So that's inline editing. Has nothing to do with the analytics tab, but it's available on the analytics tab. So what else? If we go back to the home on analytics, I have a browse capability. And in the browse, you literally can just do that. You know what? I just want to see all our dashboards. And I want to see all the dashboards that I created because I'm really important. So where is the created by? Here it is. So it's created by me, all the dashboards, and you can see, wow, look at all those dashboards. But this is showing both Lightning dashboards, and so they're calling dashboards that's a CRM analytics dashboard, and to be differentiated by a Lightning dashboard. And I can just look at reports that are created by me and so on. So who does this help? This helps a company that has 10,000 reports or 20,000 reports and a few thousand dashboards. Because we can combine these filters. I could say, you know what, created by David, but last modified in the last 180 days, and zoop. So I think this is really quite nice. Collections allows us to curate reporting assets for yourself. You can curate them and share them with colleagues. You can see here in my screenshot, I have one called sales planning. What we also get, if this feature is activated and set up, is you get a screenshot of the dashboard or of the report. That feature is a little wonky. It's not perfect. You can see here I started building a dashboard. The screenshot, Salesforce captured the screenshot. I kept editing the dashboard, but it didn't update the screenshot. And I just feel like that's not perfect yet. But you can turn it on or turn it off if you want. That just applies to collections. So in collections, we can include reports, we can include dashboards, we can include CRM analytics assets if you have licenses for those. We can share our collections with users, groups, and roles, just like we can with folders. The one thing to note about collections, if you share them, if I share 3 reports and 6 dashboards in a collection, let's say I share it with Mark, if Mark only has access to a couple of the underlying folders, he won't see everything in the collection. He won't even know that those things aren't visible to him. So let's say that he has access to one folder. That folder has 5 reports in it, but he doesn't have access to the dashboard folder. If I share the collection and it has stuff in that folder, he won't even see it. So it's the collections respects the underlying folders. One other cool thing that Salesforce did is they gave us the ability to embed a collection into a home app or record page. This does require a CRM analytics license, and it doesn't work the way you'd think. So if I embed a dashboard into the homepage, I go to the homepage and I edit the homepage and I drag the dashboard component and I pick which dashboard appears. This collections feature doesn't work that way. And it confused me when I first did it. I was like, wait, why isn't anything here? This, whatever the user has set as their topmost collection, that's what appears. So it's sort of an interesting thing. And you try to think of a use case for it. Instead of saying, hey, here's the most important collection of reports and dashboards, that's not what's going to appear. It's whatever the user has. So as their topmost collection. Do you see that I have this one called year-end analysis that's pinned up here? That's the one that'll appear if I use that ability to embed it in a homepage. So it's not exactly what I expected, but I'm sure there's a use case for it. And it's just a checkbox to turn on the analytics tab. So this is now generally available. If you go under Setup, Feature Settings, Analytics, Reports and Dashboards, Report and Dashboard Settings, there's a checkbox that says Enable the Unified Experience for Analytics Home. It's a mouthful. And then there's another checkbox that basically turns on those preview thumbnails. After enabling this, an admin might add the analytics tab to one of your apps. You can see here, I've got an app called Sales Rep, and I've got the tab there. Any questions about the analytics tab? Oh, that's awesome.
No questions.
I love the "it wasn't me." That's great.
That would have been way better.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So, where is this going? I think we'll get to a point where we don't need these tabs, reports and dashboards. Like, I'm actually pretty close to being ready to just not using. I wouldn't want to have 3 tabs. I could just get rid of the report and dashboard tab. The one thing that I found that I mentioned that isn't working yet is if we go to create a report. And let's say I create a report on opportunities, start the report. And I group it by something. Let's say I group it by type, or I don't think I have a type. Let's group it by the stage, and let's sum the amount. Normally the conditional formatting, I think there's something, oh, it looks like it's working here. So if it's less than 1 million, make it red. And if it's over 2 million, make it green. Let's see if it works. Let's run it. Of course, there's no data. Maybe this works. Maybe I'm full of baloney. So let's collapse the report, and it looks like it works. So maybe that is working, and it's not a problem anymore.
Maybe they updated it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They pushed out or something.
They heard me complain about it. So we just talked about a whole bunch of stuff. Unlimited gets more stuff. We talked about a little bit about Slack, reporting on mobile, personalized filters, reporting on subscriptions, and then we talked about the analytics tab. There are lots of ways to keep learning this stuff. I leverage help a lot. I like all the fine print in help. The Salesforce help is really well done. You can pick a topic like collections and just read all the stuff that's available. The Dashboard Dōjō, we're coming up on our 3rd anniversary. We try to meet once or twice a month. We're going to take a break for the summer, but we'll meet in September. We have 2 sessions scheduled. And on this recordings link, we have over 40 hours now of recordings of all different things that we've talked about related to reports and dashboards. I did mention the book, so if that's useful to you. And Christy, we can do a drawing, and if you want to share a name, I can offer a copy of the book as well as a prize for raffle prizes. If that's helpful.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I feel like now I don't have time to do that from the chat, but I'll send you a message. I'll just do it from the attendance. And
yeah, good. That sounds great. Any other questions that anyone has?
Doesn't look like it, but that was super helpful. That was such a deep dive into all of these things. That was great. Everyone says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Going to roll out the analytics tab. Nice. Got a winner. Cool. I love the analytics tab. I use CRM analytics a lot, of course, and so it's nice to just have everything in one place. But I think it's so helpful for users just to not have to remember, oh, do I need to go to the reports tab or do I need to go to the dashboards tab? I think that it's great for everyone. My hope is that someday CRM analytics goes away and that's just the Salesforce analytics and everything. I feel like they keep inching closer to like unifying all these things. I don't know if they would be okay with losing all that extra money they make, but I feel like that would be my goal.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they have 2 add-on BI tools has limited the reach of what has been built on reports and dashboards.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, let's call it a day. Everybody can go back to work. David, thank you so much. This was wonderful. And thanks for everyone who came. I think next month, we're going to do, I think, another generative AI thing as we lead into Dreamforce in September. So keep an eye out. But of course, it'll be the third Thursday of the month again. And see you all next time. Thanks again, David.
Absolutely. Have a great summer, everyone.